It is.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is.
It's not coming across. How about you completely close Discord, reopen it, and see if it fixes itself?
You got to get
So
into PavView control and change because you've got some other
yeah,
input mapped to the output. You got to make sure that what you call it.
yeah. So I've already done the Discord. I've even restarted the computer just to be on the safe side. I've done that as well.
Then
Uh,
you're just going to sound like crap this show. It's fine.
okay. Yeah. So
Go
remind me how you get to PAVU control again.
PAVU.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you hit your super key and type Pavu.
It's not installed by default though, is it? So you have to get it from the command line first, don't you?
We got to install it. I mean that needs to be on the list of things that's installed by anybody that's running a Linux system.
Yeah, I had it on the last one. Okay. PAVU.
Ah, the woes of a distro hopper.
No, I had this one hasn't changed. This one is, same as always.
Is it Mint?
Yeah, it's Mint.
He's lying.
No, it's Mint.
He looked up and to the right when he said that.
Okay, whatever, man.
Come on,
All right, I'm
say the
sorry.
magic words.
Well,
Say
you're an
them.
arch.
You run Arch.
I'm not running Arch today. I really wish I was. It would at least be an explanation.
No, he's not lying. He's speaking his own truth. So he believes
mm.
he's running it. It's true, right?
It's actually running him though.
Well, but
Mate, I really wish that was true. But unfortunately, it ain't this time around.
One of the other Linux podcasts I listened to, I mentioned this the other day. The gentleman who runs it bought a Mac to edit his videos, and then on the last night's episode, one of his two co-hosts broke down and bought a Mac to record the show in OBS. So now there's 2 out of 3 of them using a Mac for a Linux podcast that has quite a few subscribers. So I just thought it was ironic. They both just given up and went to Mac.
We can't
It's
do
not
that.
Linux Matters by any chance, is it? Because I remember, I'm sure I heard them talking about
No,
it. But
this is a video. I guess I could say Matt from the Linux Cast.
okay. All right, so I've got PAVU control now.
Okay, go open it up and go to the playback and recording and make sure they're all set on the right thing.
Says it's.
Whoops, I just screwed mine up.
Good. What is it? No. That's. I have no idea, man. What's going on here?
First off, you got to go to configuration and enable and disable the stuff that you want to use.
I don't mind sounding shit. That's not the issue. The issue is this is my only microphone.
I'm sure it's just a pipe wire
I don't
thing.
have a problem with sounding crap. It's just I don't understand why, when it's plugged in and when the Mint can see it,
Gonna drive you nuts.
why it's not working.
Can you share the
That's what I
screen?
don't get.
Share your PAVU control. Let's walk through this. The solution is here. We just got to find it.
Oh, you guys can't hear me now, can you?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
yes, we hear you. Yep.
Okay, fine. That's all
We
right.
hear you.
Share the screen for PAVU control.
I've got PAVU control up.
Yeah, share the screen.
Share your screen.
All right. So
Don't succumb to the frustration. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Let's see the configuration. Disable the webcam. Go to input devices. Look. That's set as the default. Okay. Go to output devices.
Where's he sharing his screen?
I can see it. You got to click on it.
I can see it. You have to click on the watch stream
I don't
thing
have
in
it.
the Discord.
Yeah, I see it as well.
Okay.
I see it. I see it too.
Yeah, crank that back up to 100. That got turned down on you. That's probably your problem right there. Or one of them.
That's output.
Yeah. Go to recording.
It's input.
Oh, that's input.
Yeah.
Up at the top it says input.
No, when he was changing it. Okay, hit recording. Okay, that should be good. And playback. All right, say something.
Nothing.
Go to input devices and say something. Is the microphone turned on?
Oh, it says it's unplugged. Switch it.
No, that's the built-in mic.
Oh.
Check the physical connection. Make sure it didn't
You
get
got a bad
yanked out a little bit,
cable or something.
Oof. And that's the Q2U. All it has is the on-off switch.
Yeah, there's no.
Do you have it turned on?
Yeah, it's lit up. I can see it's USB.
Oh, it'll still show up. And the light will still be on, even with it turned off.
Oh, great. Now I'm having trouble.
Okay, how about those? There are volume buttons on the Q.
I think we're just gonna have to just do with this, and then I did have a backup mic. Unfortunately, I gave it away. And I hadn't got around to getting another one.
That's got to be a bad cable, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking as well. I think it's I have a feeling you might be right. It might be the cable. So I will have a bit of a search around here if I've got, because it's a what?
It's
the old USB.
Mini.
Is it USB B? Yeah. Those ones?
Mini.
USB
Yeah.
mini.
Not micro, mini.
And
Yeah.
they're a pain in the butt to find anymore.
Yeah.
All right, you can stop sharing your screen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to sound crap in this one. It's fine. It's a big deal.
Okay, who's hosting?
I guess I can. Let me do gosh dang it. Let me get Craig going.
Now recording.
All right. Oh, Charles left the scene. Exit stage left.
Taking too long. That's what it is. 2:20. We ain't started yet. We ain't getting nothing out of that mic. Heard
Yeah,
something there.
I'm just gonna just stick with the webcam then.
It happens. Well, we should all get our crappiest microphones for one of the shows and just see how horrible we can make it.
I mean, not for nothing, but I can hear Bill, but Joe, I can barely hear.
Yeah,
him.
Joe, you need to
Hold on.
crank up the Crank up the volume.
Crank up the volume.
Can you hear me now?
Oh
Yeah,
yes, you're
much
nice and-
better.
I was trying to keep my ambient noise from coming across so much, but it's just something with the HyperX. Like every sound will come across.
It's fine. That's the thing about Discord. Discord will block some of that. So, all right, let's do a 3, 2, 1 in 20 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Discord did block that. I heard it come through like and then it stopped altogether. So maybe I can get enough of it to block it out in Audacity. All right, are the notes all ready to go here?
I think all my stuff's in.
Yes.
The
Okay.
one piece of news.
I added something last minute, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
I
didn't
think
have
that's.
monthly news or anything.
I don't think we did for a change, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all my updates in. I'm good.
I gotta get rid of this moss stuff here. I guess I don't have to. All right.
I did do a couple of. I did add some check this out stuff.
Okay.
And what else did I do?
All right.
So
Well, the thing I
I
added.
tidied up a little bit because there's no Bodhi corner, there's no security and privacy.
All right. Let's see.
Linux conference. Which one?
Oh, Siegel in Seattle.
Cool.
You weren't there.
You're right. I was not.
I was there.
I've never been to one. I want to so bad. All right, here we go.
Yeah, it was my first. It was my first one. So anyway.
Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 473, recorded on Sunday, November 23rd, 2025.
Having a day again. I'm Joe.
Sniffling and coughing, I'm Bill.
Having fun with my ears, I'm Majid.
Back in the saddle again. I'm Charles.
At one with my keyboard, I'm Jim.
First up in the news, there's an initiative in protecting OTA TV from DRM. Then in our wanderings, Joe does a lot. Bill plays magical video cards. Majid is trying to resist Black Friday. Good luck with that. Charles goes to a Linux conference, and Jim eschews the mouse. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. Please remember, if you want to follow along with our discussions, the full show notes for this episode and all others are linked in the show's description at mintcast.org/show notes. First up, the news. Who wants to take this one?
I'll talk about it briefly because I posted it. The FCC is currently seeking comments on the ATSC 3.0 DRM standard. A YouTuber that I follow named Antenna Man is encouraging American viewers to make comments to the FCC, who are right now seeking those comments, and in support of not encouraging DRM or digital rights management on over-the-air TV. So as Americans, we have an actual opportunity to talk and leave comments directly for the FCC and the chairman, who are going to decide in short order, hopefully in our favor, not to allow the television stations and networks to put DRM on the new ATSC 3.0 standard. It's something that is actually going on right now. So if you live in an area, you know, where they are broadcasting, a lot of them have DRM right now, and they are really trying to put a stop to that so it does not become the standard.
I don't see this being effective. Like if they put DRM on OTA, don't see it being effective at all. What are they trying to prevent? People from recording something so that they can watch it later, which is perfectly legal for them to do. It's always been the law that if it came onto your TV over the air or across your cable, you could record it and watch it later. That's the whole point of a DVR in the first place. So anything that they do, DRM, what is it? Just so that they can sell boxes, the digital boxes? I'm not understanding how this would impact anything.
Yeah, the different stations are trying to make it so that there's and it's actually the way it is right now in almost every market. If there's 3 or 4 or whatever stations broadcasting the major networks in with the ATSC 3.0 standard, you can't literally watch it unless you have a very specific TV or a very specific DVR. The recast or the tableau won't work. The HD home run up till now, I think, has not worked either. You have to have maybe a zapper box or some other ones. They're trying to lock it down. You have to have an internet connection. It's a real hassle. And Antenna Man, the YouTuber, has been behind this initiative. He actually met with some of the FCC people. And on his video, which you could watch, there's the link in the show notes, he talks about it in more detail than I could, and also provides a link for people to leave those comments and some suggestions about what are the things you could talk about and how it's affecting you. So the FCC actually has wide discretion on something like this. This is actually one of the few things you can actually talk to a high-ranking governmental official. Supposedly, they're going to read your comments, and if enough people, demand that over-the-air television with the new standard remains DRM free, there's a real chance they might say, you know what, let's keep it that way, or let's do it that way.
Absolutely insane that they would want to put DRM on that. I mean, the whole point of over the air is that anybody can pick it up and pick it up for free and be able to keep up with the news and keep up with weather alerts and anything else that they need. And I can see, okay, you buy a box, a digital receiver, and it needs to have a specific firmware in order to be able to decode the DRM. And then the next time they update, guess what? You're screwed. Your choices are connect to the internet. Hopefully you have it. And download and update. Hopefully they're still making updates for your particular piece of hardware. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you feel so strongly, you should fill out a comment. They give you a link on the, if you watch that YouTube video on the page, he just talks about it, and it makes it easy for people to send those comments in. And this is something that in the very relatively near future, there will be a decision made. And so I think it's worth doing.
So once again, it's another further of shitification of services and things that Cory Doctorow talks about, and it's a sad commentary on America here. But anyway, so
yep,
it's almost like there's no point in anything existing if you're not able to make money off of it. That's
capitalism for you, mate.
That's the only way to describe things like this, And it's usual thinking for Americans. It really is, because I get that all the time when I talk about making podcasts. The first thing I get out of people, "Oh, you making any money out of that?" Okay, I guess I'm done here. So
you still make money with over-the-air television. You just do it the old-fashioned way,
yeah,
with advertisements.
But they just want to make even more money, because everybody wants more money.
They want to make sure they are the ones that are making the money.
Because if you're watching something over the air, it's not like you can just skip ahead and block ads. You get what they ship.
Well, anyway, I guess that's it for the news, such as it was. Moving on to the bi-weekly wanderings, and I guess I will go first. I don't have much because I've not
have much, except to have a huge amount.
Well, no, I don't really, because I've not been able to do much. I got behind on both anybody that was paying attention would know that the last episode of mintCast showed up on Friday night because I had no computer to to do it with. Well, I didn't have one set up to get the work done. Let's put it that way. I'd been dealing with what turned out to be video card issues. What was happening was I was getting into the Discord room, and everything appeared to be working fine, but everybody else was seeing just a green nothingness instead of the video feed coming from my camera. Went through. This actually happened on the last show, and it was why I couldn't be on the show. And then, thinking it was just a software issue, I nuked and paved the machine. And then I did OTC. Here's the weird part. OTC worked last Saturday. The guys could see me. It was a little weird, though. There was some weirdness because there was some lag in the video feed coming from everybody else. But I blamed that on me doing the update and then not rebooting the machine, because there was a kernel update and everything. By the time I remembered that, it was too late, so we just kind of followed through with it. But then we went into Roundtable, which was also on Saturday, and tried every little thing. And then I think it was Joe that said, I bet you've got a
No,
video
it was
card.
actually Eric.
Was it Eric?
It was Eric that started the video card conversation on that one.
And that was heartbreaking, because that was a nice... I don't spend thousands of dollars on video cards, but this thing was almost $300. The Radeon Pro W7100, which was a pretty big card for the machine that I had it in. And apparently it just went out, because I've got a much smaller card in right now that I'm using too, and
Do you still have the card?
I sent it to you.
You sent it to... Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Do with it what you may.
Okay.
When you say it went out, so a component died on the board, or what do you mean when it went?
Well,
went out?
okay. I guess that is a little too vague, because I was still getting everything else working, whatever it is on the board that handles sending my WebRTC stream to everybody else. That's what was screwing up. But the interesting thing to me, though, was that when we turned hardware acceleration off on Discord, you would think that would have fixed the problem. But maybe you need to turn that off and then do a reboot and all that stuff. You never know. But no, I ended up going with I had an AMD Fire Pro WX 5100 sitting doing nothing, so I went ahead and put that in, and it seems to be it's nowhere near the powerhouse that Radeon Pro was, and it's actually an older version of the Radeon Pro, but it's doing fine. It's working.
And you have that one you sent me back in the mail on its way to you, because I currently don't have a motherboard that will support a graphics card.
Well,
but I will be attempting to repair mine.
Well, there you go. Now you got a Radeon Pro to try to repair too, and that Radeon Pro that I'm sending you is basically the same iteration as that 7100 Fire Pro. It's just the next iteration of it, but it's got more VRAM in it and everything. I ordered another Radeon Pro, the mid-tier one, to replace it. I bought it used off of eBay. I wasn't real interested in spending a bunch of money on video cards. It's interesting. This machine, it's an HP. I bought it 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago when I started doing the show. And the strange thing is, it will not run anything except an AMD card. If I put in a I've got an ARC, an Intel ARC. I tried putting that in there, and the machine will not even post. Take it out, and it posts and boots just fine. I've got 2 NVIDIA cards. I try putting those in, and as long as I'm using the Nuvo driver, it boots up just fine. I switched to any version of the binary driver, nothing.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what's wrong there. You're running two versions of the 3D output at the same time. You have to go into your grub before you turn on the graphics and adjust your grub so that it's only using the one set of drivers.
Well, I had them when you install the I don't know, because that doesn't explain why it won't even post for the Intel card.
The Intel, no, but you're right on that one. I can't help you with the Intel. I haven't played with those, but the NVIDIA, that's probably what happening is you've got two versions of the 3D graphics drivers trying to run at the same time, and it's making nothing work.
I was thinking, well, it should be part of the process. I guess I was making assumptions there, but it seemed like it would be part of the process of when you switch to the binary driver using Mint's tools, that it would blacklist the kernel module for Nouveau and all that. I guess I shouldn't have just assumed that. But I'm just kind of resolved to running nothing but AMD on this machine anyway. In spite of the complaints I've had with all that. So yeah, all the shows have been late, and I do apologize for that, everyone. But I am up to date now. I will have this show out on time, and it was all because of that video card and all the problems and frustrations along with that. And it's getting to be the holiday season too, so trying to fit all these things in. I do have.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to get the shipping done this week instead of next week.
Oh gosh, that was a nightmare. I actually took it to the UPS store yesterday, and yeah, that was an odyssey to beat the band for sure. But anyway, that's about all I've been dealing with, just getting that up and running. But I guess I did have a couple of good news. My daughter's machine started giving her fits, so I opened it up. You know, the thing about these new laptops, they've got batteries on the inside, and they've got a little bit of space in there, a little bit of space for that battery to start to expand and start to swell up, and you don't even know when you're getting ready to have a fire or something like that. And this thing was about ready to catch fire when I pulled it out.
Really?
Yeah, it was hot, and to feel it was something about it felt like it was getting ready to go any second. So
when you see the balloon and you realize that there's glue on the bottom of that battery, and you're going to have to go in there with something and pry it out.
Well, luckily I don't remember. I might have taken this battery out for one reason or another once before, because it was one of those things where I had to expose something else, so it was only screwed down to the motherboard. But the only thing I was gonna do was replace the trackpad for her, because I actually had my old Omen that I was using up until I bought the Chewies has the same sort of.
Oh yeah,
form.
how are the Chewies doing?
Oh, they're fine. They're great. Still running. Both of them running Arch. Glad you asked.
You're running Arch, are you?
Yes, on those machines.
Oh, really? Interesting. That never had you down as an Arch user, Bill.
Well, I don't look like it, do I? That's the thing about Arch.
No, not really. No.
No, they
you kind of got that neck beard thing going on, so yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Why is it, by the way, that everybody who's a Linux nerd is always referred to as a neckbeard? At least
look it up sometime.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check.
Well,
it out.
you gotta figure that the whole thing with the beards only became fashionable here in the States, I think, when those silly bird call people, what were they? What's the name of those guys on that show?
Duck Dynasty, folks.
Duck Dynasty. That's when all the country boys started growing beards over here.
I have no idea what that is.
You're better off. It's another one of those. So anyway, I replaced the trackpad on her machine because it was possessed. It was going all over the place, hitting buttons and moving all around. So I replaced it with the trackpad that was on my Omen, and put the 32 gigs of RAM that was in my Omen too. I put that in her machine, and got her a brand new battery, and that worked great. Later on the day, my boy was having a problem where his machine, which was running Windows 10 by the way, he brings it over and he says he would start it up. Yeah, tell me about it. He brings it over, he says, I turn it on, it turns back off. Turn it on, turns right back off. And I thought, well, I checked the power supply. That was fine. I was like, the first thing we'll do is take all the RAM out except for the first one. Took all the RAM out except for the first one. He was mixing Corsair RAM with 2 other brands of RAM. And
And at that point, did you go, I can't work with these kinds of amateurs?
so we pulled all those out. He blamed me. He said I gave them to him. I said, yeah, I gave them to you, but I didn't know you were going to mix it all up like that. Well, pulls them all out except for one Corsair stick, and it boots right up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm so surprised. And then he's like, well,
what are the chances?
Yeah, we put the oddball sticks back in, and it went back to doing the startup. Starting to post. I think what actually happened was one of those sticks got hit by a electrical surge or something, because he said he heard a pop during the night. He leaves his machine on running constantly for no reason, no server, no nothing like that. Just leaves it running. So there's no visible evidence of any kind of electrical surge, but at the same time, it wasn't worth it. And he's probably not going to use more than 16 gig of RAM for what he does. He uses it to make electronic music and whatnot. So
that newfangled electronic stuff.
Oh, and then he called me last night. God, I hope he never watches this. He called me last night because he was like, I'm sick of this thing anyway. I'm going to build a Windows 11 machine. But what he does, he buys a tower.
Disown him.
He buys
That's
a tower.
exactly what I was going to say.
You can't. I can't get...
Are you not ashamed of yourself, Bill?
You know
should
what?
Be ashamed of yourself. You're on 2 Linux podcasts, and you've got a son that wants to use...
I don't want these people using this stuff because I say they should. I want them to use it because they love it.
For not using Mint, yeah? You've got a family that's all on Windows.
My wife uses Mint. She's her... Yeah, that's about it. No, what he tried to do, he bought a new tower, a new motherboard, new processor. He built out a lovely little machine, and then he just
another ship of Theseus type situation. Yeah?
He tried to take the SSD out of the Windows 10 machine and slap it in that new machine. He couldn't figure out why it wouldn't boot, and he's like, "Well, I'm in the BIOS settings, and it's not showing up in any of the in the boot order whatsoever." And I'm like, "Well, I guess secure boot and TPM works then." You can't make shortcuts like that.
If it wasn't showing up at all, like in the BIOS at all, then that means that he was using like an M.2 SATA in one of the newer slots for M.2. They got so many different names and so many different types. It's annoying.
Whatever it was, he was trying to just take a drive out of one machine and slap it into another and try to get it to boot. And if it did, BitLocker, yeah, Mech 1164. That's the technology that keeps that from happening. There's just no way.
I'm not just angry. I'm disappointed.
Hey, you know what? That is my ex-wife's son right there. That is not.
Oh, it's his mother's fault. She's the one who raised a Windows user.
Well, but yeah, she has a Mac, so let that sink in. Anyway,
Majid, has had
Is that
Mac
why you
since he's
divorced
been
her?
on the
Is that why
show.
you divorced her? Because she had a Mac.
Well, Majid, I've told myself and I've convinced myself Majid bought it out of sheer morbid curiosity. The same curiosity that drove him to buy that Snapdragon, which
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
is what it is, you know.
Can I ask a quick question before we move on to about video cards? I haven't purchased a video card in about 15 years.
Yeah.
So way back before the craze manic of video cards. And I know video cards have different physical form factors, and then there's a PCI, and then the PCI, what is it, Extreme. Anyway, the question I have is a lot of these newer video cards are bigger, they're wider. Do they have a name for that form factor, or is it? I'm sorry.
Titan.
Titan
And
is
the
what the
answer is
form
no,
factor
not
is now?
really. No, the NVIDIA series calls it a Titan, but it's not really. It's just they're freaking huge.
Right, exactly. And
There's
you have to
no-
get cases and motherboards that can accommodate those.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard of a standard name or form for these huge video cards. I was just curious.
There's not one, but they're all the new ones are PCI X16. You have to go
X16.
way far back in time to find one that's a PCX or PCI X8.
Yeah.
Okay. So X16 means it's going to be fatter, wider, and bigger?
No, they're all
No?
16 now.
Just means that it uses 16 PCI lanes.
Okay, but the physical part, the dimensions of it, there's no standard name for
No.
that. Well, that sucks.
Well, you're not going to buy, unless you're a gamer, you're not going to buy anything.
No, I understand. But even a standard, say a low-end card now is still a lot bigger than the old ones back in the...
Well, they also
10 or
make
15
small
years
form factor ones. They
Oh, they
do
do?
make,
Okay.
especially like Intel makes some that are specifically designed to fit into smaller systems, but there
Okay.
is no actual name for that I'm aware of.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's. I was just curious. That's all.
So
Thanks.
basically, this is your average size for a normal card right here. And anybody that's listening in the audio only, go check out this is an NVIDIA with 4
Yeah, but
slots.
it's got a fan on it, and it's wider because of that.
Yeah.
Fan
That's one
component.
slot.
You
That's
got to
a
have
single slot.
Yeah, that's only one slot. This is all a normal person needs. Now, if
Those
you've got one of
giant
those,
ones, yeah.
two.
Yeah, those are the type of ones I used to using. That I purchased years ago, but I haven't bought one, like I said, in 10 or 15 years.
This is still useful for like one of those, what do they call them, 1 liter PCs, 2 liter PCs, where it's got a low clearance to
Low profile, as they say.
because you can see the difference between the height.
Yeah, so I guess you could say low profile and large profile, I guess would be.
Yeah,
This is
maybe.
the normal size, though.
Well, most of your graphics cards, especially your higher end graphics cards, are dual slot. They still only use one slot, but they take up
take up
2
the
slots
space,
worth
yeah.
of space.
Okay, that's what. Yeah, okay.
But
All right,
that's
thank
the
you.
high end stuff. That's the gamer
Right.
stuff. That's the expensive
Yep.
stuff. Unless you're a gamer, I don't know. But it's really, I don't know that it's worth the money. For me, I'm looking for things that have good hardware encoding capabilities and stuff like that for doing what we do. This little WX WX 5100 that I'm using right now seems to do the job. I probably never really needed to buy anything else, but I don't know. It was cool, so I bought it. And Mark in the comments said 3 slots aren't uncommon either. I don't know that that's common.
It uses 3 slots. Yeah, I haven't seen one, but I haven't looked for
Does
one
the-
either. And I haven't bought a graphics card.
Does
in
the
a
3090 or the 50? They got a 5090 out now. That big freaking, I don't know what they cost. NVIDIA card.
That's the generation they're up to, though.
Yeah, that's nuts. Anyway, that's all I've got.
Okay, thanks. Okay, all right.
What about you, Joe?
But in most cases, what you have to do is look up the length of the graphics card that you're purchasing and the power consumption.
Oh,
So
that's
the
that's
length
the biggest deal. Yeah, make
yeah,
sure your power supply will handle it, because when I upgraded to that Radeon Pro, I had to get an upgraded power supply because it had a separate
well, it's not just
plug.
that. Yeah, it's the connector, because
Yeah.
you have an 8-pin connector, and then a lot of your new ones have dual 8-pin connectors. So you're looking at 16, and the power consumption on those just has to be absolutely mad. But yeah, your case will be decided by the length of the graphics card that you want, or your graphics card will be decided by the space available in your case. Yeah, it's nuts. Sorry, little bit of a rabbit hole there.
Yep. Sorry.
My turn.
Looks like it's you, Joe.
You go for it.
Okay. Now, last show where we had wanderings, so not last show, but the one before, there was a lot of mention of calendars and setting them up. I immediately after the show decided to look into it a bit and wanted to import my Google Calendar into Mint. I've never used it before, but I can see that the option has always been there. I used the online accounts application in Mint and logged into my Google account. It worked like super easy. Just logged in and told it that I didn't want to import my email, which I would assume is done with like Thunderbird or something, and I uninstall that anyway. I don't want my email stored local. But it did import my calendar and gave me direct access to my Google Drive, which is nice. I know it's a very simple thing, but it is something that I normally would not think to do. General paranoia and all. I see that it also provides, the application provides a way to log on to Nextcloud and WebDAV. I can see how that might be useful, but I'll have to wait until I redo my Nextcloud before I try it out. I was also convinced by my fellow podcasters to try out Image. I set up the LXC using helper scripts, pretty easy, and set up my phone without any trouble. There was some issues and delays migrating all of my pictures on the phone to the server, but it did eventually happen. 28 gigabytes with a little bit of hand-holding to get everything on there. I did have to expand the image for the LXC once to make it large enough for all the photos and to provide a bit of room for growth. I also had some of my photos on my computer that I made a backup of on my Samba shares, and then provided access to the folder to the image LXC, which made all the photos accessible from the image interface, but it does not import it into the local DB. So that was like another 28 gigs, but I didn't have to increase the size of the LXC for it to be able to share all of that to Image's website that it provides. I find Image to be an easier interface to use compared to Amazon or Google Photos. It is fast and simple, but does lack the ability to search for videos. And I do see how the AI stuff could be useful in parsing images, but it could take a while to be like really useful. And yes, that was because Majid was asking questions about it, and I didn't have the answer. Also, I got a wild hair and decided to finally go down the rabbit hole in regards to Pixie Boot. Something that I have thought sounded fun for like a really long time. I set up an LXC for an application called iVentoy, and that went pretty easy. I had to expand the image and then use wget to get the ISO image into the proper location. I started this with Linux Mint, of course. I don't install it every day, but I do it often enough. It might be nice to not need to have a USB stick on me to do it every time. That was pretty cool, even though I only tested that on a blank VM at first. But I might want to do a custom ISO in the future that I can use and boot the applications that I use on a regular basis and have them already available, maybe some local storage or app images, something like that. I would like to do that, but then I also want to test out using it over a router that is, set up with WireGuard back home and do the whole thing from a remote location. I think that might be a really useful way to do it, especially with some of the other setups that I've done with it. I think it would be really great for a Tails box, something that can be wiped out and restarted with minimal changes. And I do have a searchable Samba Share now set up that is read-only and provides access to all the app images that I want. Which, yeah, it's a good thing to have set up anyway. As a matter of fact, I did grab a copy of the Tails ISO, and I was able to get it to run from Pixie Boot on a VM, and I was able to get app images to run on it, so it'll work as a disposable secure OS if that is what I need. I also was asked to install Mint on my son's laptop since he was having trouble with Windows. His trouble actually wasn't with Windows. I hooked it up to the network and then booted it up. Getting the BIOS to do Pixie Boot first, I was able to install Mint over the network and found out that the issue was actually his keyboard and his touchpad. I don't know if he spilled something on it or dropped it, but a couple of the keys are crossed. I've looked into a fix for it, and it'll cost like $30 to do it the cheap and difficult and very wrong way. And it'll cost $80 and be much less difficult and the right way because of how the keyboard is secured with plastic tabs. So instead of just replacing the keyboard, you replace the entire upper assembly. But anyway, that'll be for a later date, when I have money to spare. It works fine with an external mouse and keyboard on Mint, so he has it back, and he's been using it that way for a couple of weeks now, and he says it's working great, and he's enjoying it. So
he's still on Mint then?
He's on Mint.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually asked me to install Mint on it. So,
nice.
Yeah. Yes, my kids run Linux.
My kids have one use and only one use for their computers, and my replacement children that live with me now, and that is
replacement children.
Yeah,
that's an interesting idea.
The ones that
some replacement children.
The ones that I actually got to raise.
Is it like an Amazon thing? You send it back and they give you a QR code and stuff like that.
Except you send it back, but you got to still keep paying for it. That kind of thing. I got my new video card. Just came. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I also noticed that the Arctis 9X headset that I replaced one ear cup on with a 3D printed one was starting to break on the other side. Not so much as to be unusable, but it will be eventually. I didn't want to try with that one on the mic side at first because I am using it regularly and had my concerns about getting it right. So what I did is I ordered another one from eBay that was very, very broken for the plastic, and I got it for a really low price. I think after shipping and everything, it came out to $20. While I was waiting for it to arrive, I 3D printed both ear cups. I'm happy to report that I was able to replace the shell on both sides. I had to make a diagram of all the locations and colors of the solder joints and put some deoxit on the volume wheel, and it took a few hours, but I got it done, and I think that the PET G is going to last a lot longer than the original plastic did. It's a little bit thicker. It feels much sturdier. I like that I can get these for like super cheap, and they're decent headsets, and they're fairly expensive when they're brand new. And they I can fix them pretty reliably, except if the mic goes out, but then I should have enough spare parts lying around that I can fix that. So right now I have 3 of them, just like with the the Razer Naris. I have 3 of those as well. So moving on from headphones, I had another issue with the mini rack. My Docker LXC quit working. At least the Docker portion did. It would start up in the environment, but nothing in Docker would run. Portainer wouldn't run. I'd tell it to start Docker, it'd throw an error. I took a look, however, at all the things that were on all of my Docker instances, and the only thing that I was actually using that was in a Docker instance anymore was my audio bookshelf. There is a pre-configured LXC for audio bookshelf, so I set that up and I passed the correct drives to it. It took a while to get all of my audiobooks rescanned, and I'll probably have to redo a lot of the identifying of books that I had previously since I wasn't able to migrate the configs, but it is now up and running. I will be bringing back Docker eventually for Nextcloud, and probably when I reset up emulator.js. But this time I'll be doing it from within a VM instead of within an LXC, because containerization seems to be redundant. So you get better control that way also, and it's a better way to pass storage to it. I'm also thinking about switching from Open Media Vault to a different share controller of some kind, maybe TrueNAS or something like that. OMV has given me some problems, but at the time of writing that's what I was thinking about to make things a little easier for me. But now I'm thinking that I'll probably need some kind of a UPS, just with how the power is set up to my drives. I think when my power goes out, it's causing some issues. So if I get the UPS and everything stays up all the time, I should have much less errors occurring on the drives. Then my mouse out in my garage computer, I have the MX Ergo trackball mouse, and I've had it for a few years at this point. But the battery is starting to die. Like I will have to recharge the thing every other day. I priced new batteries, and they were only like $15, and they use a 3-cable system. But I remembered that I had purchased some batteries for some of the Arctis headsets that were also 3-cable, so I figured I would use one of them and see what happens. Got the device taken apart and the battery removed and the holder for the battery as well, and the new battery, while being 3 times the size, had a much smaller connector. So couple of I just swapped the cables over entirely instead of just trying to swap the ends. That was really the easiest way to do it. And then some work with the Dremel on some of the plastic on the inside of the mouse, and it fit right in. I mean, it should last quite a while between charges at this point.
It'll also take forever to charge.
I also had a problem with my garage computer. Very not good. The motherboard seems to have died. I'm hoping it's just a fuse somewhere along the way, but I will have to take a look. I tried a couple of different power supplies to make sure that wasn't the issue, and I get no signs of life from it whatsoever. Which kind of sucks, but it does tell me that I need to adjust a couple of things so that they are independent of my primary computer, making sure that if it's down, my automation on the mini rack can still run and vice versa. Anyway, I had another computer that I was using as a Proxmox box in another room. Also, it was a set-top box at the same time. It's got a good processor, but it only has 2 RAM slots and a very proprietary motherboard and power supply. I pulled the drives from the garage PC and put them into the new box, but because of the size of the case and the power supply, I'm not able to use the graphics card that Bill had sent me. So I did end up mailing that back to him. It took a couple of adapters, but I got everything else hooked up and was able to power the device up with 32 gigabytes of RAM. The old machine previously had 64 gig, but this should be more than enough for now. RAM isn't cheap right now, and it'll be some time before I can afford a proper upgrade. I am also keeping an eye out for a motherboard, or I will try to fix this one. And I could go either direction, AMD or Intel, since I have processors for both. And if I want to use the case that I've been using for a while now, it's going to have to be a micro ATX board. And I'll need to get some more RAM, since most of mine seems to have been ruined when that motherboard was having issues. I think it may have been the HDMI switcher that was actually causing the problem. Some kind of power surge or something like that, putting power back into the motherboard and burning out components. So hopefully that graphics card still works when you get it, Bill.
Did you have the HDMI plugged into the graphics card, or?
Well, yeah, I had a display port to HDMI adapter, and then that hooked into the HDMI switch, and then I don't know if it was power surging or what, but it definitely messed up some RAM of mine because a couple of times now I've had RAM go bad out of nowhere, and then also now the motherboard has gone bad. I just didn't think that it would be that HDMI switch until it happened when I pushed the button.
Oh, wow.
But it is my motherboard that's bad because I pulled that graphics card and then tried to power on and wasn't getting any lights or anything on my motherboard. So,
Well, did
we'll
you
see.
try putting different RAM in it, just like my boy?
I did.
Okay.
I absolutely did. And I tried bringing it down to just one thing of RAM. Because I even tried it with no RAM because I should still get a warning beeps or something. But
Yeah.
the fan wouldn't even start spinning. So no lights on the board, no nothing. 3 different power supplies. Yeah. Now, when I moved the hard drives over, like you can do with Linux, most everything was already set up on it, and I just needed pass the graphics. Well, no, that's a. Oh, I am missing some things here. That's okay. But anyway, it died. I was working from home at the time, and I wasn't going to get time to be able to fix it or work on it or anything else. What I did instead was I switched to my mini rack and used one of my VMs from one of those 2 Proxmox machines, and just used it as a set-top box, and had to rerun the HDMI cables. That worked perfectly fine. It actually worked really well, even using 2 monitors. I did have to install a couple of applications that I use regularly, including Discord, so I could tell you guys that my computer died. But I had the machine working in no time flat, and I was able to have my work machine on one side and my regular computer on the other. Now, that the second computer that I had set up, like I said, put the hard drives in it. It just turned on. It just worked. It thinks it's my old computer, so there's no graphics card, but the inbuilt graphics on that 11th Gen i5 is actually really good. So yeah, I mean, all my automation was working again immediately. It was actually really easy to do. Now, I think that I could probably use those Proxmox machines as my daily driver machine, but I do have some games that I do like to play on my garage computer every now and again. So I'll have to make some decisions long term about what I'm going to do. And that's, really what I've been up to the last couple of weeks.
I have a follow-up question. You mentioned app images in there somewhere, I think. Did you might consider trying App Image Launcher instead of
Here's the thing.
Gear Lever?
Yeah, I will try that on my regular machines, but this was on a Tails machine. So Tails, you load it up, you run it, you close it down, everything you did's gone. So you can't really install extra things on it or anything like that. That's the whole point of me using app images with that one from a Samba Share. So I go to the Samba Share, I launch the application.
Okay.
That is a roadblock.
But why does Gear Lever work then?
Gear Lever won't work on that.
Okay.
I use Gear Lever on my other machines.
Got it. And then, just out of curiosity, on your calendar, are you using GNOME Calendar, the one that's
built in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm using a Google Calendar, and then I'm using the calendar that Mint has set up. I'm not sure what
like
that is.
if you click on your
It's called
calendar in the lower right, I think it'll show. Anyway,
click on About. It says About Calendar, calendar at cinnamon.org.
Okay.
It's almost
The
certain.
Cinnamon
And you're able
Calendar
to-
applet.
Yeah.
Right. And you're able to look at it on your phone as well, because it starts at Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, Jim, what
Right,
was
well-
the calendar app you were raving about a couple months ago?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it a little bit
okay,
more
all right.
in
Okay, never
my
mind
segment,
then.
but
Sure.
yeah, that's a
Okay.
little teaser. I'll talk about that when we get to my segment.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Oh, that was a lot for me. Go ahead, Majid.
Yeah, my turn then. It's bloody cold in the UK at the minute. It's suddenly gone from being in the 50s to being in the 20s. This is Fahrenheit. I did convert it for you guys. And my boiler decided that this was the time to stop working. Um,
Nice.
Thankfully, yes, I know exactly. Thankfully, we managed all right, and I don't know what exactly happened. Um, but it started working randomly the next day, so I don't exactly know. Probably needs a service or something. So most of my stuff has been around the server, which is still continuing even as I'm on this podcast. I, as I said, I had Jellyfin work on it. Jellyfin was working fine. I had Image on it. Image finally I managed to get working. Got Audio Bookshelf. That was the easiest of the lot. Really easy to get stuff installed. I then put Portainer on, and now I'm having issues because Portainer can't seem to connect to the local environment. So, which I thought was a bit odd. I then managed to find some other kind of graphical tools because I'm still not that great with the command line. One's called Docman, which for some reason I can't get it to work as a Docker Compose, but I can get it to work as a Docker Run. I have no idea how I've managed to do that. And then the latest one I found was one called Komodo, which is a bit like a Portainer again. I've been getting these random shutdowns of the server. I wouldn't be able to SSH into it, and then I'd go to the machine, and then I'd even plug it in the monitor just to make sure that everything was working all right. There'd be nothing. I'd have to restart it, and then it was fine. And I had no idea why that was happening. I think now I do know why that was happening. It seems that the boot drive has got completely full up. It's 120 gig SSD. So I don't know what I've got on there that's taking up all this space. I wondered whether it was the Docker containers.
Are you running some kind of automated update? This happened to me.
No, I'm not. I don't think so.
Okay. Go in. You're not running Portainer, so I can't tell you the exact way to do it. But Docman and Komodo should both have some way to look at your unused images because they get left there.
Yeah, so I did do that. I did look. And
Docker
I found,
prune image.
Yeah.
You got to do
So
it once a week.
Well, anyway,
Or
that's
Docker
what
image prune.
So anyway, that's what I've tried doing, but again, it still says that I'm using 110 gig out of 120, and I don't know what I'm using that's taking up all that space. As I said, the only thing I could think of was it was the Docker volumes, but I don't know what else. If anybody else has got any ideas, please let me know.
Yeah,
but I wonder if that's what was happening, and that's why it's just. And then I think that's why it's kind of randomly, and that's why it kind of randomly just stops working, won't update, won't be accessible, and I have to restart the machine.
You don't have one of the, like your image or something like that. It's not like writing to.
That's what I was going to say.
That drive instead of your big.
Same with your audio bookshelf.
Yeah, if you accidentally have any of those, if you don't have the right drives mapped in the Docker Compose.
Yeah, no, I remember that from when you guys did tech support to me on Roundtable.
Yeah,
and no,
that's what it sounds like it's doing to me.
Yeah, I've got them all bound in the correct places and stuff, so I don't think it's that.
Yeah, because volumes should not take up, because they're basically just configs.
There's one you're not thinking of, and that's the audio bookshelf config.
Okay.
That might be taking up a considerable amount of space, because especially if you have it set up to automatically identify the books and bring in the images, and you have a large quantity of books.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a large quantity of books because this is I've only just started using what you call.
You want me to fix that for you?
So interestingly, if I go to do a sudo apt-get upgrade, it says you do not have enough free space in var cache apt archives.
Well, that just means you don't have enough space in the drive. Period. It's not specific to that directory. I would go into var. What is it? Var lib docker volumes, and check and see which ones in there are just enormous. And then have a look inside of those, because I'm betting you anything that it's backing up something to a Docker volume instead of your where you wanted it to go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that is more joys and adventures with the server. I think I mentioned on Roundtable last week that I'd managed to get Tailscale on this as well. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to use it for, but that's one thing. Yeah, I wondered, you can get Docker images of Pi-hole, can't you? Which would work on a normal server. So I'm thinking I might do that actually. But as I said, as of now, it's doing F all at the minute while I try and figure that out. Again, I'm late to the party on this. I've discovered workspaces. I know that all the Linux distros that we've been using for all since time immemorial have had multiple workspaces, dynamic workspaces, and stuff like that. It's only recently now that because I've got my work, and then I've got this kind of stuff, and then I'm doing the admin for the server, and then I'm also doing I'm learning Arabic as I'd mentioned, and I have regular kind of lessons and there's sheets and stuff that I have to do. I've now found that a good way of kind of compartmentalizing my life is having those workspaces. I have one workspace which is a workspace, another one which is a server one, this, that, and the other. As I said, I know I'm late to the party on this one, but it is useful actually. It's not. It's almost like when you get a second monitor and you get used to having two monitors. It's a bit kind of like that. It's almost like it's like having your two monitors squared because you've got all these different workspaces.
It's that thing you never knew you needed until you had it, and then now you can't work without
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I know it was about a month ago, but I did have this Marathon 4 podcast day where I did my favorite Linux OTC. I had tech support with Bill and Joe fixing my image at the time. Roundtable has turned into tech support for us, hasn't it? Because last week it was you and your video card and everything. So that is it's just interesting, isn't it? I also did a episode of Distro Hoppers Digest with Dale. Hopefully that will be coming out soon. Which kind of made me think about my most recent distro hop, which was I was using Cosmic. I mean, it looks fine, but I've got. I don't know. I'm just not using it. I don't feel the need to. I don't like it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. I think for the next one and probably for the next show, I'm going to try what Jim mentioned last time, Ghost BSD. I've already downloaded it. I just need to actually just do it as an install. Did you actually try Ghost BSD for a reasonable amount of time, Jim, or was it just a flash in the pan thing?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it a bit more during that segment. Yeah.
Oh, all right, then cool. Well, I shall leave that then for you for that.
And I just want to interrupt you and go back before we move on and lose context. You know how you were just talking about the idea of workspaces?
Yeah.
On one of my computers, I use them like work and personal, and on my laptop, I don't. But I just would like to say something I've talked about previously, the idea of using the panorama tab groups. Those are effectively workspaces in your browser. So if you're a person like me who keeps some would say unreasonable number of browser tabs open, over 100 tabs, I don't have them all lined up, 135 from left to right. I have 14 groups, or some would say a workspace, quote unquote, of, Linux tabs. And I have another workspace or group panorama tab group of, whatever else kind of tab. So, and then I have it all set up with keyboard shortcuts to jump between them. So I can flip without touching the mouse from the Linux group to the personal group to the, music group or whatever it may be. So if you've been intrigued by the idea of workspaces, extend that idea to the browser now with panorama tab groups, incorporate it all with keyboard shortcuts, and it is easy to fly around and jump between all those different things without even though you've got a lot of tabs open at the same time.
I mean, it's one of the things I think Vivaldi is good for, kind of having that kind of workflow as well. I'm using Vivaldi. I was using Vivaldi as my main browser for a couple of years. I haven't used it recently. But yeah, that was one thing I noticed there as well. Oh, that's a good plan. That's a good thing. Okay. Speaking of distros, I haven't had the guts to put another distro onto my X Elite laptop. I mean, Ubuntu 25.10, I've downloaded it. I haven't got around to using it. And I did get some kind of news today that not today, but a day or two ago, that support for said devices hasn't been as forthcoming as possible, as thought it would be possible. So I don't know what's going to happen. The last thing I just wanted to mention as I'm talking about podcasts is one of the ones I did was my own one on mindfulness and hypnotherapy with a doctor that I work with, and I got quite a nice warm fuzzy feeling afterward, because she contacted me after saying that she had now had people contacting her for sessions. To which point I said, "Yeah, my referral code. I have a referral code, and my charge 20%, and I take it in cash and Bitcoin." To which she replied, "Can't do that,
What
but I'll
about
do
gift
cake."
cards?
I said, "She says I'll do cake." I said, "You know what? Cake is good enough for me." You know,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice though, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
nice
that's
that
awesome.
yeah. I mean, I even had some of you guys saying, that you listened and you thought it was very nice. So nice to have something useful for a change. Anyway, having had the iPad experiment 3 years ago now. Bloody hell, time goes, doesn't it? Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, because I've only been on the podcast for 2 years. I recently tried the Android tablet experiment. I had a Xiaomi pad. You can get Focus keyboard for it. I got said Focus keyboard for it. Decided to take that to work as my main computer. No. Firstly, the Focus keyboard, which is difficult to get in the UK, has to come from Europe, and it comes as a German keyboard, which isn't a big deal, but it was just a little bit annoying. But moreover, again, the kind of stuff that I do doesn't lend itself well to a tablet plus keyboard workflow. The same problems that I'd had with the iPad experiment 2 years ago, I was having now. So anyway, I returned that Focus keyboard because it cost 110 quid. I was like, it's a lot of money for just basically a Magic Keyboard knockoff. As it is still a good tablet for tablety things. Definitely a good one for writing. The pen and everything that's got. I use it for all my notes now, so it is good in that sense. But yeah, maybe it's end of the day. A lot of these I am struggling to think of a time or a thing which is said to be a laptop replacement actually becoming a laptop replacement. If Apple can't manage to do it, and if Microsoft do it by basically just making a laptop, and they call it a tablet, but let's be honest, if you buy a Surface, you buy the keyboard with it. It just kind of says something, I suppose.
That's about as
I've had
close as it
more.
gets, is that Surface, really, because I've got
Yeah,
one and I can make good use of it with or without the keyboard. I don't have a real problem with the keyboard, but
Some of the clones are actually a little bit better because they're easier to install Linux on without
yeah.
yeah, yeah, they are.
random kernel magic that you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Because you have to get a specific Surface, the specific Linux Surface kernel, which I've done before when I had the Surface Pro 7. Um, But but yeah, I mean, it's basically it's just as I said. At least for me, when I had that machine, and I've had many other kind of similar machines like that, I know it might be a tablet with a keyboard, but you just use it like a laptop. I can think of maybe only 10, 15 times I've ever decided to put the keyboard away and just use it as a touch-only device. It does work as a touch-only device, but it's nah. Um, so I've been having fun in earbuds. So because it's Black Friday, there's loads of deals, isn't there? And Amazon have now 4 month returns. You've got 4 months to return something. So had these earfun earbuds, which were really good. I then saw some Cambridge A100s, which were on a deal. Bought them. Wasn't that impressed. Sent them back. Then the Earphone 4 Plus came, which are basically an upgrade with dual drivers now. and they sound really good, especially if you tweak the EQ. Unfortunately, they were a bit uncomfortable for me, and I've had this problem before. I'm probably just got weird shaped ears or just a general genetic abnormality in general. But I remember when I had the Sony
We weren't going to
XM.
mention your genetic abnormalities, but please continue.
Wait, look, man, I have full insight into all of my problems. Don't worry. They are many. They are legion. Anyway, and so I remember when I had the Sony XM4. Sorry, not the XM5, the XM4s. Fantastic sound, but they were just uncomfortable to wear. I changed all the tips and all this kind of stuff. So I just ended up returning them, and as I was shopping around, I know it's not a Black Friday thing specifically, but there was some, you can buy obviously, used headphones and earbuds and stuff off eBay, and there was somebody selling Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless. Now this is the second generation. We're on the fourth generation now. They're bloody expensive earbuds. I mean, they're like 250 quid, right? Anyway, somebody's getting rid of them, says they were hardly used. So I went fine, bought them for £50, and they are hardly used. They look really good. They sound bloody good. So those have become. I think I like the Sennheiser sound. Again, you can tweak it with the EQ, but I think I do quite like the Pi Amiga. The Pi 400, which I was trying to make into an Amiga machine, is now only getting an Amiga machine, but I'm just getting the actual games onto it has been a little bit problematic, but I've been managing. The retro handheld that I got, the R360, decided to stop working about 5 days after the return period ended. So that's great. It's probably the SD cards failed, in which case I can just put another micro SD in with the emulators and stuff. So it'll probably be all right.
They come with really cheap micro SD cards, and that was the problem with Bill's when he sent it to me. It was reformat, or I grabbed the new micro SD card, grabbed the code off the internet, tossed it on there, put it in. It's worked great since.
So I think that's probably what I just need to do. I bought a new keyboard. Not for and the only reason I want to mention that is that I have come. Well, I mean, I already know this, but function is more important than form in certain things. I know this is an audio podcast, but hey ho, we all like showing stuff on video. This was the nice funky keyboard I got for Apple, which looks great, but it's pants to type on. So I ended up buying one which is a lot more utilitarian, Logitech something or the other. Again, showing stuff on an audio podcast. And it doesn't look particularly pretty, but bloody at least it works. And at least it's nice, a nice typing experience. Outside of tech, I've just discovered Sleep Token. I don't know why it's taken me so long. Just like it had taken me so long to discover Tool, now I've discovered Sleep Token. I'm not going to say anything more. If you like heavy metal with a bit of electronic, a bit of Bring Me the Horizon style type stuff, something good to check out. I'm a sucker for a fantasy series. I was a great fan of Game of Thrones, even with the crap of the last 2 seasons that it had. I'm a great fan of House of the Dragon. I got really into the Wheel of Time, only for that to be cancelled. So I've started watching The Witcher season 4, and like most people, I loved season 1. Season 2 was season 3 was what the hell are they doing here? And season 4 has not been great, but I need a fantasy fix. If anybody else has got any ideas of some fantasy stuff I can watch, do let me know. There was one called The Night King, which is based on the books around King Arthur. But apparently, I mean, I did start watching it, and they're completely different to the books, which annoyed me. I don't mind that. I don't mind things being different from the books if you're making if you're adding something to it. But they weren't adding anything; they were taking stuff out from the books that were really good. So that annoyed me. Now, there's apparently this thing called King and Conqueror on iPlayer, which is about William the Conqueror, the one who came over in 1066, Battle of Hastings, and all that stuff. So that's another. But if anybody's got any other ideas,
have you started watching that yet, King and Conqueror?
Yes, I started watching the first about halfway through the first episode. I couldn't finish. I didn't have enough time to finish the first episode.
I know a little bit of the history of that era, and they're making you like him and what's his name? The other guy. Right off from but
the confessor.
He was no, not Edward, the one anyway.
Harold Goodwinson was the guy. Yeah,
Good,
and then
yeah.
there was Harold Hunter. Yeah.
Harold. And as it turns out, he and his sons were some of the most unpopular monarchs in English history.
Oh yeah.
And
so
I've just started it myself. And it's interesting when they're going this way. And he didn't get along with his wife, and they got him all lovey-dovey in the beginning and everything like that too. Maybe.
Yeah. I've heard that the history is, they've taken lots of license with the history.
Yeah,
and
as
the
they
thing
tend
is,
to do.
which is fine about certain things, like the King Arthur one. Right? I mean, we don't know a huge amount. We're not even 100% sure he existed when, what, and all the things around it. But the thing is the Norman conquest is so well documented, right? And I don't know whether it's like in the States, probably not, but in the UK, it's our standard history lessons when we're at school. We learn about the Battle of Hastings, we learn about the English Civil War, then we learn about Victorian times. Do you know what I mean? This is
Norman influence is so consequential to your culture and
oh yeah, exactly.
Everything over there. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and we all know about Bayeux tapestries and all that sort of jazz. So the thing is that if there are then historical changes, everybody notices it, and they'd be like, "Okay, no, that didn't happen."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Joe, you're saying something.
Yeah, on December 24th, there's a new show coming out called The Pendragon Cycle: Rise of the Merlin.
Okay.
My wife has actually recommended it to me. She says she's the author is Lawhead, and he is a very detailed author that uses known and documented history to weave his stories.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah, it sounds like it would be right up your alley. The Pendragon Cycle: Rise of the Merlin.
Okay. 24th, yeah. I'm going to put that in my calendar.
And in the meantime, I don't know a whole lot. I can't think of a whole lot in the fantasy genre, but I mean, I just started watching what is it, Van Helsing, the sci-fi channel's version of Van Helsing. I'm one episode short of finishing season 2.
I think they leave you on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, all the seasons probably end in a cliffhanger.
Well, I mean, I think they canceled the show.
No, it made it up to season 5.
Yeah,
and I did read the Wikipedia page for it, and they actually ended it, like proper ended it.
Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
So and I suppose I watched Frankenstein yesterday with my son. Son's 21, by the way. Just it's not like I watched it with a 4-year-old. But because people seem to think I'm younger than I am. Do you know what I mean? I mean, which I take as a compliment, But I mean,
no gray hair.
Not.
What are you actually 104?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how old I am.
Your hair is still dark. Your beard is still dark. It's.
Yeah, I have a lot more gray hair than you.
But I did watch Havoc also, which it's made by Gareth Edwards, the guy who made The Raid. That was good fun. And with the other son, the 18-year-old, he'd never watched John Wick because he wasn't 18. So we watched it, and the original John Wick is still the best, I think. The fight scenes later get better, but as a story, the first one's the best, I think.
Agreed.
Have you seen that ballerina, that offshoot?
Not yet.
No, I haven't actually. No.
I don't even know if it's out, to be honest.
I watched that Continental, which is kind of like a prequel type thing. I don't know if that's any good.
I watched Wednesday. Oh, you got it on disc. And that's an old school DVD too.
Get the disc from the library.
It's crazy. They still they're still making DVDs. That I was looking.
Blu-rays.
Yeah, well, Blu-rays I can understand. they're making, but you can buy a set where you get the 4K Blu-ray, the regular Blu-ray, and the DVD in one case. And I'm thinking, my gosh, and they're just selling the DVDs separately. And I'm thinking that's the first time technology has, what's the word, stagnated like that. I mean, we've moved on a couple of iterations beyond that, but DVD is still good enough to it's still selling enough, clearly, that the companies and the studios want to keep it around as a technology. Go ahead.
The amount of people and DVD players out in the world are much greater than the amount of Blu-ray players. So
I'm gonna point out that didn't really work out all that well for VHS.
That's why I bring it up, because when VHS lost out to, or Beta lost out to VHS, as soon as DVD came out, it almost blew VHS. There was a little bit of an overlap there, but then VHS just went away. I think a lot of that is because the manufacturing cost for a VHS is way higher in relation to the price of the cassette, as it relates to like a DVD, which is far cheaper to manufacture. There's no moving parts.
I don't see Blu-ray being that much more expensive than,
Oh, not at all. But
yeah.
it just never caught on. Like going from VHS to DVD was like a sea change. Everybody switched over.
Yes.
Whereas Blu-rays were a little more expensive, and it didn't take over from DVDs, which were sort of considered good enough for most people. And because DVD players were around longer and put in everything from game machines and desktop devices, set-top players, you can buy one for like peanuts
next
nowadays.
To nothing.
So,
and you didn't have to have a more expensive TV to see the difference in quality. Whereas with Blu-ray, really to get the advantage of Blu-ray, you had to be, I mean, of course we take it for granted now because everybody's got a big 55-inch TV or bigger,
Mm-hmm.
But back then that wasn't the case. But a DVD was like he said, it was a sea change in terms of quality, and that for just a regular TV, Blu-ray comes along during the time, I think it came along during the time when a lot of people were still using CRTs, and we were kind of being pushed onto flat screens and that, but not everybody was there. And then I think by the time flat screen got more proliferated to the point where it is now, I think we moved on again to the streaming platforms. So I think you might be right. There might be just way more DVD players out there.
Yeah, and what format are they going to switch to? A micro SD card?
I think
that's it. Physical forms are done now.
Yeah, they are.
Except for what exists. I'm just hoping that they continue. The movie studios continue to put out DVDs and Blu-rays, because I count on it, because I borrow most of my movies from the library for free, and I think the libraries are helping to keep those formats going, because they sell a certain number, consistently to all the libraries across the country. And I can tell you, the county I live in, they have an extensive library system with 42 branches. They only get DVDs, not Blu-rays. However, I'm lucky because there's a large university that's associated with that library system, and they're the ones that get the Blu-rays. So I have access to both, So where I live is a very good library system for that reason.
Cool.
Well, that's about for me.
All right. Well,
Charles, now, isn't it?
Charles, it's all you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, I've been away the last couple of weeks, and one of the reasons I was away, I was up in Seattle visiting my girlfriend, but also popped over to the Seagull Linux conference. It's the first one I'd been to, and you can see from the notes it started in 2013. It's free to attend. You just need to get yourself there. Open to everybody. Two things caught my eye, kind of from just a general observation. try not to get too deep in the weeds, but just a brief observation. So when you come into this building where it was at, there's these bunch of tables for people's sponsors or groups and stuff, and two of these people were wearing these T-shirts, and I took pictures of them. Very political, very how do you could say could start a contentious engagement if it went that way. It was about the Middle East, and I'll just leave it at that. I was surprised to see that, basically. Now I know people have, free speech and opinions and stuff, but seeing that I thought could have caused a real issue with somebody, because this building, this conference open, students can walk through here. And there was another case I was sitting, they had like snacks and stuff, and a guy or a student came through. You could tell he wasn't attending the conference, but he was very interested in the snacks. And basically he's raising his voice, asking about the snacks in a very unprofessional and less than polite manner. Let's just leave it at that. So those are kind of the observation. But anyway, I attended a couple of talks on Friday and a couple of talks on Saturday. One that particularly caught my eye, which I've noted here, about backporting CVE's kernel issues, Rail and CentOS. And basically at a high level, the guy that gave the presentations had worked for Red Hat for about 20 years, and he runs his team that handle CVEs, and he said that there's more and more attention, and they have some pretty big companies that run Red Hat, and they want, hey, we got these CVEs, we got to fix these. And he said they were drowning basically in CVEs trying to fix these bugs. And basically over the last, 2 or 3 years, I don't know the time frame, but the link is in there about the product and the system. They've come up with a system that's automated in the sense that somebody can put in a JIRA request via email. It sends to this website. It triggers a bunch of automation where it's so sophisticated that it can actually create a pull request for the problem. It does a little bit of testing, and then people have to review it. So it's not all, they don't just, and it's tied into the mainland kernel with, Linus, the overlord of the Linux kernel, and they can quickly put upstream fixes, and the kernel looks at them, the kernel development group, and it automates or streamlines the process for creating patches and stuff for a lot of these bugs. And anyway, he said that the guy that gave this presentation said it was a godsend, because his team, he said when they said that they needed to start addressing CVEs, it's like he wasn't going to get more developers and he wasn't going to get more resources, so they had to come up with something that kind of streamlines it. So I thought it was pretty impressive what they had did. And like I said, there's links in there for the project. If you go to the main website of the Linux conference, they haven't put the talks up on there yet. But there's an archive session. They only have last year's on there, but soon here, and I don't know what time frame they'll put them up, and you can watch the presentation if you're interested. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, the other wanderings, prior to that, about a month ago, or we're still in November, I guess it was early October, my girlfriend was kind of pleading to me. I've run out of disk space in my Yahoo email. And when I met her and she told me she had Yahoo, and I said, why do you have Yahoo? But nonetheless. Anyway, she
You
ran
dated
out of
her
disk
anyway.
space.
I'm starting to wonder about my choice in friends now. I mean, I've got a guy who, gives Windows to his kids, and then, I shouldn't be prejudiced. People
Well,
have
she does have
differential abilities.
she does have a Gmail account, but she's been using this Yahoo email account since the early 2000s, and hence she's the type of person that never archived any of her emails. So her inbox so basically I said, before you give these dopes any more money, she's got a Linux laptop on a ThinkPad. Let me install Thunderbird. let me create some local archive folders and start moving stuff out of her inbox. And I think she had emails going all the way back to 2003. And she says, I'm so paranoid to delete anything. I leave it here, that whole, I can't let it go, just on the chance that she's going to go find something. So anyway, so when I came back from Seattle, I brought her laptop back and I set up Thunderbird, connected to her Yahoo email, and started archiving this stuff off the local folders. And like I said, it was over, I think their size is 20 gig. And when I moved stuff out of her inbox and archived it over, I got it down to 2%. So 2% of 20 gig, whatever that is. And she was really grateful because I saved her a little bit of money so she didn't have to spend any money. I have 3 backups of the profile, and then I have 3 backups tar of the Thunderbird home thing there. So she was pretty excited about that. So I was a boyfriend hero for a moment. So anyway, yay me. And I guess the last wandering thing, I don't know when this happened. This end of September, 1st of October, and since I listed the last wandering. So I have a TP-Link mesh network here. This is my second mesh network. And the primary node died. And tried to reset it, tried to go through, reset it, did all these things, powered off, powered on, but it wasn't coming back to life. Anyway, there's 3 nodes. There's one in the office where I'm at, one in the living room, and one upstairs. So I took this system. You can take any one of the nodes and make it the base station where you connect your ISP coming into the house and stuff. So I got that all set up, and again, it's replace the node. So now there's only 2 nodes in the house instead of 3. It's simple to set up. The bad thing about this TP-Link system here, you can't just hook up your laptop in it and web console into it. You have to use their stupid mobile phone app, and that's one of the drawbacks to it. But which really sucks.
I have to take my turn giving you a hard time right now. I mean, you had me thumbs up for you. You got a girlfriend that runs Linux. That's huge right there. So, but then your proprietary application for your TP-Link, you haven't tried to put OpenWRT on it yet?
No, I didn't. I have an old router that I put WRT on. So I've done that and I ran it for a while, but it was just a standard wireless router.
No, because I have a bunch of those meshes. Then I've nuked them all, the stock firmware, and put OpenWRT on them. And
which brand?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember. I think it was TP-Link. I'll take a look. I'll get back to you. I know I've talked about it on the show before. So
it doesn't work with every single one of them out there. I would definitely check to make sure that there's support first.
Yeah. And actually, this is my second mesh network, because the other one I had a Ubiquity, and I don't remember the model. I didn't look it up, but the base station died on it, so that's why I ended up with this one. But anyway, so I guess I don't have too good of luck with mesh networks. So, but anyway, so that's kind of my wanderings. So there you go.
All right.
I think Jim is up next.
Yeah.
Sure. I didn't have any big projects. I spun my wheels on 2 things, which I'll talk about. So I have a few tips, a few things I like to use. I'll talk about those. We'll call them these my wanderings. I've explained more than once how I have a large number of Firefox extensions. And there's one, you may ask, what do you need so many for? Well, here's one, and I'm going to tell you why I like it. Remove paywall, Firefox extension. This is a great extension because it will show you, when you click it, when you read an article, a news article from a newspaper or online website that has a paywall, one of those annoying things, you got to sign up to log in or pay to read the article. You just click the remove paywall extension up near your URL bar, if you put it there, and then boom, it'll give you like 4 or 5 different links to go read that article on archive sites like archive.is and other similar sites. And it's just a convenient way to get right past that paywall. And I find it very handy. So check it out if you like. I've also talked about how I make frequent use of YTDLP, the command line program, to download videos, not just from YouTube, but from all kinds of different sites. Today I'm going to talk about a popular switch or a command that you could use with it called cookies from browser. What this allows you to do is it allows you to get past Firefox, sometimes requesting you to log in. They try to thwart you sometimes nowadays from downloading stuff without logging in. If you use the, hyphen cookies hyphen from hyphen browser, and then you put in the name of your browser, it will pick up your cookies and it will get you right past that. You'll be able to download stuff. And I also like to combine it with some other switches that I mentioned previously, like Live from Start, to be able to capture live streams all the way back from the beginning, even if you came in late, an hour into the stream. And then I further combine that with a VPN. And between those three things, YTDLP becomes really powerful. It allows you to download stuff as it's streaming. And even if it's going on in another country where you are technically not allowed to watch it. So, for example, yesterday there was a sporting event going on here in America, but in England it was streaming on some website. On YouTube, for some media property. And sure enough, all you had to do was, use YTDLP, use the VPN, use those two switches, and boom. I was able to capture the whole thing. I got all 9 gigs, and now I have it on my hard drive ready to watch anytime I want. So I don't consider myself an expert with YTDLP, but I've learned a few things, and I just shared one with you.
Now, when you use the cookies from browser, is that doing any kind of logging in the browser config folder, or is it touching anything in there besides just checking the cookies to see? I assume it's somehow pretending to be Firefox to the.
It just picks up whatever account you're logged in your in your Gmail or your YouTube. But so it gets past their request that you be logged in. It knows what your account is. So you obviously got to have some kind of account already logged in.
Right. So I wonder then, is it doing any kind of logging then to the Firefox to the logs? Is there any kind of indication of what you used YTDLP to do right there? I guess it doesn't matter all that much, but if it can look into the Firefox config, can it also write into the cache?
I don't know, but I could tell you there's an alternate method you could use. You could actually go into the Firefox settings and export the cookies, and then point YTDLP to the cookies you've exported. So that's another way to do it. But the cookies from browser is just a quick and easy way to do that.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to talk about another keyboard shortcut that I use constantly. We're all on Discord, obviously. This podcast through Discord. Keyboard shortcut tip: Alt Shift, and then the up arrow or the down arrow. It will jump you between, like in the mintCast, you've got the Gauntlet, Public, News, all the different channels, right? There's about a dozen of them or 15 of them. You don't have to grab your mouse, put it on the other channel, and then put your fingers back on the keyboard. All you have to do is just, hit Alt Shift up or down arrow, and it will skip all the channels in between that you've already read. Because when you're looking at Discord, if it's white, it means there's a message you haven't read, and if it's gray, it means those channels have been read. So you don't have to use your mouse, and you don't have to do it one by one like with Alt up and Alt down. You can go bink, 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 bink. You know, it's a waste of time. You just hit Alt Shift up, and boom, it jumps 10 channels up to the next unread one.
Oh,
It is
that's
so much
fantastic.
more efficient.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I know that takes a little bit used to, doing if you haven't done it previously, but my God, once you get used to it, you could never go back to doing it, point and peck. All right. I'm going to tell, I wasted a lot of time on this to conclude that an app that I was using was already the best option. So I've mentioned that I've been on IRC for years. I used it in the 90s. I know it's not popular anymore, not the way it used to be, right?
I used it in the 90s too.
Yeah, I assume most of us did if we were around then. Back then, the popular app was Mirc, M-I-R-C, on Windows. And, that was like the chat of the day, even up to the mid 2000s perhaps. But nowadays, of course, we're all on Discord and Telegram and all these other places. But IRC is still going. And I use an app called IRC Cloud. It is not free or open source. So if you're a purist, there's a lot of other options you could use. But I went and tried a whole bunch of these other apps. And I came to the conclusion that IRC Cloud's the best, even though it's there's a free tier and a paid tier. Because what's nice about it is it looks a lot like Discord. So if you're used to Discord, the dark mode will feel very familiar. They have a client for the desktop. It works in a browser tab, which is how I use it. They have a pretty decent mobile app, which most IRC clients do not. They have great keyboard shortcuts that are very similar or exactly the same as Discord. So the one I just told you about also works on IRC Cloud. And it also includes a bouncer. So what that means is if you're connected and then you walk away from your keyboard, back in the day, unless you had that set up, you would miss or you got disconnected, you would miss all the messages that happened while you were there. Discord does that for you, right? You can go back. If you disappear for 48 hours, you just got to hit up, and all the messages you missed are there. IRC didn't work that way unless you have a bouncer set up, but IRC Cloud includes that. And even on the free tier, as long as you leave your computer on 24/7 like I do, it will even work on the free tier. So I like it a lot. I tried a whole bunch of other apps, but many of them don't have some of the other conveniences that IRC Cloud has. That includes the ability, like on Discord, somebody posts a picture, you'll see the image embedded. Someone posts a video, a YouTube video, you'll see the thumbnail embedded. Many other IRC clients are not set up that way. I do not have that capability. As a matter of fact, some of the graybeards will say, we don't want images, we'll text only, I'll do it through the terminal. If that's what you like, that's fine. You've got all those options, but I find it to be very convenient. So I'm on the Libera network. They have a lot of the free and open source software channels like Linux, their most popular channel. So that's just something that I use, and you could check it out if you like. All right, then I was moving on. I was talking about my phone recently. I am still using Lawn Chair, which Majid mentioned, and
how's that going?
I'm happy now. I fixed the main issue I was having because I wanted to have a very pretty, nice icons that are themed, right? I didn't want to have like the Firefox be red and the calendar pad be white and whatever the other ones that were on there. I wanted to use effectively a theme and a nice colored icons that matched. However, I discovered that, at least to my knowledge, if you change your icon pack like download one of these icon packs from the Play Store. It'll they don't have icons for everything, right? I have 100 whatever plus apps, you know. It may change 85% of them, but they're not all going to change. So what I managed to do was I'm using the one UI icons in Lawn Chair, but the one annoyance was the one that I had for the calendar. It has the date. It says like NOV 22 on it, but it wouldn't update in Lawn Chair. Whereas in One UI, the little icon would update it, you know, at midnight. So I know that sounds like a trivial first world problem, but it was driving me nuts that every day I had to go in and like manually change that stupid little icon on my homepage. So I finally just broke down and I downloaded a bunch of icon packs. I searched through them painstakingly till I found a blue icon that I could use that was like roughly the same size and shape and same color and would look good with the other icons. So now I don't have that annoyance of the calendar icon from the One UI setup not updating on Lawn Chair. So I'm pretty happy with Lawn Chair. My icons look pretty. They all go together. And then also if I slide up the app tray, all those icons are normal. You know, I don't want those to be themed because they're never all going to be themed right. You know, I have too many obscure apps that are not going to work. So I do like Lawn Chair quite a bit now.
It's unfortunate that app just didn't have like a setting where you could just tell it not to put the date on the icon. You know, it seems like an obvious thing to put into the user experience, but I can see how projects probably wouldn't want to go through the work, because I'm exactly the same way. Something like that would drive me up a wall if it wasn't. What you're saying, it was literally stuck on the date that it was on when you switched to Lawn Chair, basically, and it wouldn't update after that.
Yes.
Yeah, that I wouldn't be able to deal with that either. I know exactly what you mean. Right. But if you could have, if there was just a setting in the app, because you never, you know, maybe people don't want that to be on their screen or something, you know, just turn it off and then it just goes to a generic button for the app, you know, and then you wouldn't have had to go through all that process of changing it or whatnot. But yeah, you're not alone in that personality.
Yeah, luckily Lawn Chair allows you to just go in and completely customize any one individual icon to anything you want. You could download icon packs, you can turn it in, you know, if you don't want to use a phone for your phone, you could drag in it, whatever, you know. But in order to make it work with the other icons that were sort of like from the One UI, I was very particular that I wanted it to be like the same color and shape and not be like look oversized or like draw my eye to it every time I looked at it and be like, oh yeah, this one sticks out. It doesn't match. You know, it's clearly from some other icon style. But I managed to find something that looked good. So yes, thumbs up to Lawn Chair for, you know, allowing that, you know, particular kind of customization. You could go in and manually change all 100 icons if you want.
Yeah, you can't do that at all with One UI, can you? There's no, that I'm aware of. Can you change individual icons on that? I've never tried to do it. But
I've never tried either. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of using a launcher, that it allows you to do all of that and also customize, you know, Lawn Chair being free and open source. It allows you even to set like custom motions and keyboard and buttons. So just like I'm a big fan of keyboard shortcuts on the real keyboard, I could double click the power button here or the screen button and it will open up, you know, my notes app. I could tap the screen and it opens up the file manager. You know, I tap from the home screen, I tap the home button and it opens up my settings. You know, that's all done with Lawn Chair. Those functions are not available in One UI. So yeah, I recommend Launchair if you want to play around. I know there's a bunch of other launchers. Go down a rabbit hole and try them out and see how you like them. But I just picked up on the on this one, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I think I'm sticking with it now. All right. And by the way, Charles asked me about my app. Yeah, this all started when I switched over to this phone. I did talk about this before. There's this app that I love called Calendar Pad. It is a front end for your calendar. So if you have a Google Calendar set up, like from your desktop, or calendars plural, right? Because what you do is in Google, you set up like say personal, business, whatever, hobby, games, whatever, and you set up multiple calendars. You give them all a different color, and then in Google Calendars, it will show up on your phone. But what Calendar Pad does is I like the fact that it will incorporate all those, and it gives you a nice detailed, monthly view. So it all started with Calendar Pad. But I didn't want to have the default Calendar Pad icon here. I wanted to have a pretty icon that matched the others. So that's how this all began. And if you like to use your calendar on your phone, I do recommend Calendar Pad. They have a very nice monthly view and a pop-up detailed view. So when you click on something, it fits a lot of stuff on the screen, rather than some of the other apps where you can only fit 5 or 6 things. Calendar Pad will fit 10 or 12. It's just more information dense. And, that's one of the things when you look at an app a lot, you notice. Again, this is a first world problem, but when you're spending time looking at something, you want to have as much information on one screen as possible. All right. I'll move on then to Ghost BSD. I did set it up, and one thing I wasn't that keen about was the Mate desktop environment. It's not that dissimilar from Cinnamon, because they're both based on GNOME back in the day. I think Mate was based on GNOME 2, and I think Cinnamon was based on GNOME 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I did learn that the Cinnamon desktop environment was in their software center, and it was really easy to install. It's a GUI, software center. You just download it, and then all you have to do is log out and log back in. You click on the little icon next to where you put your password in when your computer and your desktop environment first starts up. So now I've got a choice. I can log into Mate, or I could log into Cinnamon. And sure enough, that's what I did. Cinnamon looks very similar to Linux Mint, except for the little logo in the lower right is LM. It's a picture of a mountain or something. And then, there's a few of the specific Linux Mint Linux apps are missing, like Time Shift and things like that. But for the most part, it is the Cinnamon desktop environment you all know, and I assume most of us love, on Linux Mint. And so that made it feel really familiar, right? Once I did that, I've already spent all the time setting up my keyboard shortcuts, which, as I've explained multiple times, I'm really attached to. I went into my aliases and the command line, and even though the terminal in Ghost BSD uses the fish shell, it wasn't hard to just manually put in all the same aliases, that I'm using on, the terminal on Cinnamon. So, yeah, once I did all that, I customized all that. It feels really, at a glance, you almost wouldn't know. I even took the same, background that I use on Cinnamon. So at a glance, it looks really, really familiar. Every single app I've been using on Cinnamon is available on Ghost BSD. So, Majid, I would invite you along on the journey. Then check
Yeah,
it out.
I think that sounds like my next episode of Distropa's Digest is going to be that probably. I said I just need
Cool.
to go and do it.
So, Jim, have you done?
How do you install software? Is there a specific software manager or
Yes,
how's that?
there's a software app called the Software Center. It's a
Okay.
GUI app, and pretty much that is the main way to install apps on GhostBSD. And they share essentially the same database, the same repository as FreeBSD, which is what it's based on.
Mhm.
So almost everything is available there that you would find available like on Linux Mint, with some notable exceptions. But most of the apps like Albert, the launcher, command line apps, it's all there. And then of course, whatever's lacking, many things are available through the browser. If you're using
Yeah.
some obscure app, like say you have some notes app that they don't have, chances are you can get that through your browser. There's almost always some alternate solution. And then there are a few apps that I use that I was able to just download a binary and use it if it works with Java or something like that. So, I could tell you that with one or two exceptions, I still have to figure out like my VPN app, which is a proprietary paid app. But even there's a solution. But yeah, you'll find
Which one?
almost everything you need right in the Software Center.
Which VPN app?
I use Surfshark, and I love it because they have an app for Linux, Mac, Windows, but also your phone, Android. They have an app for the Fire TV, and even other obscure things. And even in your browser. So yeah, I use Surfshark, and I'm pretty happy with it. But there's a standard, right, that these VPN apps use. I think it might be called WireGuard, I think is one of them. There's a way. I may have to do it in the command line, to be able to use Surfshark as my VPN on GhostBSD without an official app. There is a way around that. So I just have to set it up. So yeah, all right. And then for some reason, this didn't get recorded on the show notes, but I'm just going to talk about something I recorded on my DVR. You might want to check out Ken Burns' new documentary series, The American Revolution. 6 2-hour episodes on PBS. Just were broadcast this past week. It's one of his usual high quality, historically painstakingly researched documentaries about the American Revolution. And it is also going to be on PBS Passport, their streaming portal. I think because they just aired, it might still be available for free. But after 2 weeks or something like that, it goes behind the paywall.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Ken Burns.
Ken
is
Burns,
fantastic.
the noted documentary filmmaker who did who did the Civil War a number of years ago. He did a documentary on American baseball and
award-winning. A lot of his stuff shows up on Frontline. And
have you ever listened to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
I'm aware of it, but I'm not a regular listener now.
You should check it out.
I'm recording that series. I had it set my DVR to record that Ken Burns Revolutionary series. Jim, one quick question: GhostBSD, have you started getting into ZFS and any of that stuff yet, or you're just still in the setup?
ZFS is now in the latest version of GhostBSD the default and the only available standard for setting up your system drive. So I haven't played around with it other than just setting it up as the drive. Instead of ext4, they mandate ZFS. So I know it has some functionality like backups or something, I
Well,
haven't used it.
pools and VDevs and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So
as
I was
I've
just
been learning
curious.
with mine.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, it's like it is. I think I said this last time. The Linux Mint of FreeBSD. So it's a great way just to get up there. You could use, if you prefer XFCE, the community build is available. They also have their own in-house desktop environment called Gershwin, which looks very much like Mac OS.
Okay.
But the main official one that they use is Mate. But as I said, if you want, you could start with Mate, and then if you really prefer Cinnamon like I do, it's as easy as downloading it from the software center, logging out, logging back in. Everything's working so far. So, all right. Well, that's it for my wanderings.
Well, if nothing else, we'll move on. Vibrations from the ether, and we don't have anything this week. Like we said before, if you want us to talk about something, or you have something you want to share, an opinion, an argument, tell me about how much I'm wrong.
And I'll join in.
Yeah.
It's fairly common.
It's about the most common thing we get. Email the show, mintcast@mintcast.org. We love to hear from you. I mean it. Moving on to check this out. And who put this in?
So I put this in. So whilst I was, doing my, musical chairs, mixing my metaphors now, but musical chairs around earbuds, came across this guy. I can't remember his name actually, but the channel is called Picky Audio on YouTube. He's Australian, and he does very in-depth reviews of different earbuds and stuff. Not maybe as in-depth as going into like frequency graphs and all this kind of stuff, but he does go into the different sounds and sound quality, ANC, connection, all that sort of stuff. And he's definitely got a thing about budget, as in you can get a lot of good wireless earbuds now for relatively cheap. And he's got quite a kind of an objective scoring system. So he's even got a spreadsheet, which I've also linked in the thing, which is free. I mean, you can pay him on Ko-fi if you want to for it, but you can just download the whole spreadsheet for free, and you can kind of say, okay, well, this is important to me, that's important to me, that's important to me, and it'll come around and it'll spit you out a recommendation. I thought it was quite cool. The other interesting thing, though, I mean, it's a slight aside, was he does nearly most of his stuff is to do with the headphones and earbuds, but he does once in a while do other tech. And he did one where he apparently is an iPhone user, and he replaced it with a Nothing Phone 3A Pro. And the interesting thing about that is that's when he mentioned, and his channel's been going on for a couple of years, that he did all of his filming and all of his content creation on his iPhone, and now he was doing it on his Nothing phone, and he's like, still looks exactly the same. It still looks professional. Obviously he knows how to do video editing and stuff like that. But and he says, look, I haven't got my own mirrorless camera. I just do it on this. So I just thought, anyway, I thought it was a good YouTube channel. Interesting guy. If you're interested in that rabbit hole of earbuds, have a look.
Right on. Moving on, housekeeping and announcements. Thank you for listening to this episode of mintCast. If you see something we should talk about, tell us. Send us email, mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Discord and Telegram, or post directly. You can't do that anymore. That should have been taken out. Next episode will be 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Sunday, December 7th, 2025. There's a link in the show notes to get that converted to your time zone. Next Saturday, we will host the Roundtable live stream. Please come and join us using the Discord voice channel at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Saturday, November 29th, 2025. And there's a link in the show notes to get that converted to your time zone as well. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. Wrapping up, Joe, where can we get more of you?
Well, if you like the sound of my voice, I'm on a couple other shows. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show. That's at tllts.org. I'm on the Linux Lugcast, which is linuxlugcast.com. You can send me an email directly, jb@mintcast.org, or you can buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. Link in the show notes. Moss couldn't be here with us this evening, or, well, today, but he is on Full Circle Weekly News. You can send him an email, moss@bodhilinux.com. He's on Mastodon as @zyvala@hostux.social, and occasionally he has a show on HPR. Bill?
You can email me. I'm bill@mintcast.org, Bill_H on Discord, at WCHauser3 at fostodon.org on that there Mastodon. Also, check out the other podcast I'm on, Linux OTC, with Eric and Majid. Majid?
So you can get hold of me by emailing me at drmajid@mintcast.org. I'm on Mastodon at atypical_doctor@mastodon.social. I'm Atypical Doctor on Instagram and Threads. I've got the Atypical Doctor podcast. And I also have the Linux OTC podcast, which I'm on with Bill and Eric. Eric couldn't be here. He can be reached on email at eric@mintcast.org. Charles?
Yes, you can reach Charles at charles@mitcast.org, and I'm Mr. PDX on Discord. Jim?
You could reach me at jim@mintcast.org. I go by GNU to Linux on Discord, and I do my own occasional podcast on YouTube at the Linux Shortcut.
Before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make Mintcast possible. I
Thank yourself, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank yourself,
I hate this part. I really do. We need to figure out a
I'm
way to
sure
handle
you
this.
do. I'm sure you really
No,
hate it.
I want you to do it. I want you to lay
Actually,
gifts upon
be
my
fair,
feet.
Okay, but to be fair, I was actually going to offer to help to do the audio editing on OTC, but now I'm not going to now.
Oh, gee whiz. Well, I'll figure out a
know.
way to make it better. Yeah, I do the audio editing and host the server, which runs the website maintenance, and the Nextcloud server, which hosts the show notes and raw audio. That's a whole lot to say that I don't do a heck of a lot. It's been set up for years, and most of the time it just works. Archive.org, of course, for hosting our audio files, Hopstar for our logo, InitRD for our animated Discord logo, Londoner for our time syncs and various other contributions. Last but not least, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about. Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
And Co. And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That was a good show.